Sleeves here with the Senior Pickleball Report powered by TNC Network. Let's get it going. Today we're going to talk to Tyler Irvin. Tyler has been a writer for a very big pickleball blog and one of the larger, if not the largest, paddle company. He is now helping head up a social media platform called pickleballers.io. And it's in the beta form at the moment, but an app will be coming out shortly. And we talk about that platform and all things pickleball related to it. So check that out. All right. Before we get started, though, if you like this content, consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps us out. We get subscriptions rolling in all the time. We'd really like yours as well. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. Also, check out our socials. Those are always being updated and something new on there. And check out the links in the description as well. And we have a newsletter so you can get your daily fix. All right. All the discounts in the description. Let's get to that interview with Tyler. All right. Hey, Tyler Irvin, welcome to the Senior Pickleball Report.
Thanks for having me, Sleeves. I feel like maybe I'm a little out of place. I'm not quite a senior, but nevertheless, absolutely happy to be here on the pod and get to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because obviously people who are 50 plus are going to use pickleballers because this thing is starting to roll. But before we really get into what that is for people, I'd like to kind of give people a little bit of background about how you kind of came into this crazy wiffle ball game and how it's like everybody else sort of started to consume your life.
It consumed my life maybe 6 years ago, as soon as I stepped foot on court. So what happened is a couple of buddies and we were trying to learn how to play tennis, but we wanted to play doubles. So we were always like trying to find a fourth person. It was super complicated. So then one of our fourths canceled one night and we're like, shoot, what do we do? And my buddy's like, oh, there's this game that has a lot of people and it's next to the tennis courts. Maybe we should go over there. So we went over there, discovered the game. We got on court with very helpful and friendly community, got on court and just played ever since. And then I was able to get a job with Gearbox, the Dink, and I worked with Selkirk, and that's been a couple years in the running now. But it started as kind of a passion, a hobby of mine, and then luckily I've been able to make it a career, which has just been fantastic.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. Obviously, building up to what pickleballers is, took some steps. You probably learned some things by working for those organizations that you mentioned. So maybe walk us through a little bit of how you kind of became involved on more of the business end and the media end of things.
Sure. So I was a passionate Gearbox player, and then I was able to get a sponsorship with them, just like a very low level type of thing. And I just love their product so much. So I asked them, hey, are you guys looking for a writer? And they said, you believe it or not, we are. So I was able to kind of help them release a couple of their lines and write the copy for those and kind of get some feedback on some. And then I'm like, wow, I really like this. And this is when I started seeing the Dinks newsletter. And on the bottom of the newsletter, it said, hey, if you're a writer, apply. So I reached out to Thomas at the Dink and I applied there and I started covering APP, PPA, and MLP for them and a couple random articles here and there.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I really, I guess, took it to the next level. And then Selkirk came out with a job application. So I applied there to kind of do the same thing that I did at the Dink, but over at Selkirk, and just learned so many things along the way. I mean, all those organizations or those companies are ran by they're professionals all around. They got great ideas for doing things. And each one kind of has a unique process, I suppose. So it was great working with all of them. And that's kind of what got me into pickleballers, maybe noticing some things that I wish we could have implemented at some of those companies into pickleballers. So that's kind of what it is.
Right on. Yeah. So I have a couple of connections there. Thomas was actually the person, probably unbeknownst to him, that I was watching his podcast probably in early 2022. And he said, if you are thinking about getting into pickleball in some capacity beyond playing, do it. And I was sitting there going, wow, I've been playing 4 months. Sure.
And I have a friend who we're trying to generate some traffic to his new site, and I'm like, well, I could start a pickleball channel. I don't know what it's going to be, how long it'll last. So Thomas is really sort of the influence behind what the pickleball report is. And then my first, what I would call legit paddle, was a gearbox, and same type of thing. I just love their product. I knew I didn't want to have to buy a paddle all the time, and I knew I needed something that was going to last. And so I started hitting those, and I'm like, these things are pretty cool. So those two connections were a little bit in my life as well. So very cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Thomas, I mean, amazing guy. He just loves pickleball. He's dedicated to watching this game grow, as is Selkirk, as is Gearbox. So it's nice that we're all kind of on the same page here. Like, we really want to see this game continue to progress, which is, it's just great.
Well, yeah. And obviously you have been involved for a while, and you have seen this tidal wave really starting to come and build, and you're involved in it while it's happening. When did it kind of occur to you that you wanted to do something on your own? And then, how did that come to be, so to speak? How did Pickleballers become an idea and then become something that's actually happening for you right now?
So actually, a founder of the app reached out to me on LinkedIn, and he told me about the vision of the websites, and that it'll be an app later. And I was absolutely sold right away. I mean, he presented just a product that I feel like the pickleball community could really get behind. And also, I think it'll help unite the community as well as promote the sport. And I think that's what we're trying to do. Like, we really want a place where pickleballers can go and they could just get pickleball content. And the Dink has that, Selkirk has that, but it's not really user generated. So these are people participating in conversations and engaging. And there's some other social media apps that do it, but as I like to say, you have to sift through the garbage or non-pickleball stuff, which I love non-pickleball stuff too. But there's sometimes when I want to go on an app and find something right away, and I have to sift through some other followers that I follow that are unrelated to pickleball, when really I just want to get pickleball news ASAP. And that seems like I'm going to 4 or 5 different sites to get really what I want in a much more concentrated amount of time.
Right. It's a very clean looking site for anybody who has not used it. I enjoy easily, making my way through just the menu. I just, boom, you're there, you're here. You can follow people easily. You can follow their posts. You can post easy, which is the greatest thing. There's not a lot of steps to that, and I'm really looking forward to see how it builds. I think you're onto something, because there are a lot of people at this point who are either already creating media or looking to jump into it. It seems like every week I go on and I'm subscribing to a new YouTube channel to follow and look. And bringing those together, I think, is a brilliant idea without, like you mentioned, all the sort of traffic you had to kind of wade through to get to it. What has been the response so far? I know this is, coming out of the gate, and things take time to build, but talk a little bit about kind of the response to pickleballers at this point.
So like you said, the topic section that we had has received a lot of positive feedback from. So it's kind of like a hashtag essentially, but very pickleball specific hashtags. And we put them in a bucket, and people could click topics, and they're easily able to kind of scroll through the different pickleball topics that you normally would, where if you go on a different social media app and you want a specific topic in pickleball, as far as I understand, it's pretty difficult to do. I think those apps will probably get a little better at it, but they won't have the concentration and the care for pickleball the way that pickleballers has and will continue to have. So that's a huge feature. Then another feature I like, it's not an extremely technical feature per se, but we have all the upcoming pro events on the right side of the website. So in times past, and what I did when I was at the Dink, I didn't know which tournaments were happening on any given weekend. I didn't create a calendar like that. Probably should have, and would have made my job easier. But really, I want somebody else to have that, where I could check APP, MLP, and PPA on one site, instead of going to a few different ones. So that's something that I really enjoy just as a pickleball fan. And I know what's happening this weekend, and others really like that feature as well. And then of course, the user generated content, people are just kind of rolling out with their own stuff. And we're going to kind of refine that process. And really, we want to make it for the community. So if you're listening or like you, Sleeves, if you have a recommendation, like we want to hear it. We want to build something
Right.
that the community is going to get behind, that they like. And if that means rolling out this feature instead of that one, we're listening and we're definitely willing to do that.
Yeah, and that's great because obviously this is the beginning. Things change. You learn things as you go. Next year, the
Absolutely.
site won't be the same. You'll have different things going on. Some things may remain, some things may change, which is fantastic. This is the part I think I hope people are taking in because the sport is changing the landscape so quickly that 5 years from now, things are going to be kind of settled in what they are. But this is sort of the Wild West, and we're all
Really is.
experimenting, and we're all having fun with it still, and we're all, trying new things, and we're all helping each other. I feel like, the tide's rising for all of us. And I think when I reached out to you and we talked and things were going back and forth, I could feel that, you really wanted people to participate, not just join, but actually, you ask questions like, what do you like? What don't you like? Is there something you wanted feedback right away, which is, not everybody wants that because people don't like sometimes a little bit of criticism. But once I got on the site and once I started chatting with you, I could feel that, this is something that is important to all of us, because at the end of the day, this is kind of going to be, I think at this point, the one-stop shop, as it's put, for people to come to and not have to sift and get the content they want. So that's what I really appreciate it at this point. Great start. New paddle company, Pickle, PCKL, great paddle line, great price points. Anything you want from starter paddle to intermediate to a pro series high level paddle. Check them out. Get 15% off using my discount code. Pickle. It's the future.
Are you looking to stay up to date on the latest pickleball news and tips? Look no further than the Sleeves Senior Pickleball Report newsletter. Get the scoop on the sport, learn how to stay healthy while playing, and find out about upcoming tournaments. Subscribe now to get all the pickleball info you need.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, that's already good feedback right there. And like you said, we definitely want to build something for everyone. So if you have feedback, we're willing to hear it. We're not one of those apps that has a specific agenda and we're looking for, to make like huge financial gains. Like we want this for the community. That's first and foremost. We want something that people could go to, gravitate toward, and really participate in this like very emerging pickleball community. And I don't know about you, but when I first was on pickleball court day one, kind of like what I talked about earlier, such a welcoming community. And the goal kind of with pickleballers too is to create that for the digital community where it's very welcoming, safe space. Everyone could talk about pickleball. Hot takes are welcome, but so are just any sort of takes. And in addition, we tried to build a website that is user friendly. And the pickleball community has such a vast, I would say, age group. I mean, you have 16-year-olds dominating the world, and there's 70-year-olds that are dominating me when I step on court. And we want all of those people to participate in the conversation that is just pickleball.
Right. And I think that's great because obviously you can step on a court with a 16-year-old and a 70-year-old and play a game. And that's really what draws people to this game is that I don't think you've learned anything until you lose to somebody who's over 70 with an e-brace. And you go, man, I'm really not that good yet. And they're not moving. They're just moving you.
I mean, that was probably my first year and a half, I would say, maybe 2 years. I mean, it takes a while to beat those 70-year-olds. They're good.
I'm still in that world, man. I'm still in it. So let's talk about how people can get involved. Let's talk about the ambassador program and what that's about and how this community can be people who participate in it literally hands-on.
Sure. So the ambassador program is something that we're excited about, and it's basically our verification program. It's people that we want to partner with. But what's unique about our verification/ambassador program is that these are ambassadors for the game. So we're kind of deeming these people, hey, go-to people if you need any inspiration or if you need any guidance for the game of pickleball. So it's not like you name a celebrity. If they're not involved in pickleball, they can't just come onto the app or the website and get verified. We want those to be exclusively just pickleball fanatics that wake up every day or almost every day and just get excited about Pickleball. Like that's who is verified on our website. That's who we want as ambassadors. They're ambassadors for the game, not just our website,
Right.
not just them, but these overall beacons of light that people can come to and approach.
Yeah. And that's great because obviously, you know, you're going to figure this out. And if you're on any site long enough, there's things you have to check for, whether people are trolling, whether people are there in their intentions. And I think this is a great first step for kind of finding out what the intention of folks are coming to the site and coming to the game. So I appreciate that. The application process, which I've gone through, is simple enough. It's not too evasive. And yeah, it was something that even old Mike could get through.
I mean, that's what we want. We want everyone to be able to get through it and feel like they can participate. And it seems like on Twitter or sometimes on Instagram, it's just any website that you go on, there only seems to be a certain amount of people participating in the conversation. And those age groups are very, they differ depending on what app you're on or what website you're on. Really, we want to create a space where everyone can come onto it. We want to make it user friendly. And that way you're getting this perspective. You're getting this perspective that I think we failed to reach on other traditional social media sites. So that's what we want.
Right on. So, okay. Where do you, let's say 6 months to a year from now, sort of, let's talk maybe expectations, things you're kind of shooting for, what you'd like to see, not only about the site, but maybe how the community grows.
I think we really want to replicate the community that's on court onto pickleballers.io. I think if we could do that, which we're already starting to do, like that's great. We want a positive community that just loves pickleball. As far as other expectations, we kind of see this going to where we're not really sure 100% the direction. We're willing to change it based on user feedback. If pros have suggestions, we're willing to take that, but we still want this to be a place strictly for pickleball. I think that's always going to be the vision. So if it's companies coming on and advertising their paddles, hey, as long as it's pickleball, we want that mainly for our users to be able to go to one site and get every aspect of the game. And then I think eventually it's going to help influencers and pros in the game, help them kind of establish their brands as an authority in the field. Now, when they're on Twitter, when they're on Instagram, they have a little bit of authority, but they're kind of washed out by all the other massive influencers, massive brands, etc. And we want those voices to be amplified. And we think if we create the right community and people get behind it, when those pros come on, they're going to be the amplified voices on our community for pickleballers.
Yeah. And I think that's very important because you're right. You get on some of these platforms, there's just an immense amount of people. And, and the power structures are different because you could be a celeb and not know anything about a particular topic. But if you weigh in on it, people are starting to kind of pay attention to it, whether you have, the correct information or not. But if you're verifying people who are into pickleball, they have, a foothold, whether they're pros, whether they're influencers, whether they're, product designers, whatever it happens to be. I think that's a great step forward. So let's talk about finally people that really you hope kind of come to this that are maybe you haven't quite reached yet. Are there particular brands or companies? You don't have to name names, but are you looking for more paddle manufacturers? Are you looking for more influencers? Are you looking for all of it?
We're really looking for all of it, but we're really looking for people that want to engage with the pickleball community. So if you're on a Facebook group or you're on somewhere else and you're getting a little sneak peek of the pickleball community, we really want to reach those people to come on to pickleballers.io, engage in the conversation there. Sure, paddle companies are welcome, Chicken and Pickle, whoever you are, you're absolutely welcome to come on and kind of engage in the community, throw out anything you want to throw out related to pickleball. But I guess the people that we want are just passionate people about pickleball. I mean, like you and I, people that play, whether it's once a month or 5 times a week. If you're engaged in pickleball, you want to get better, you want tips, you want to see who's playing, where they're playing. We have a spot for you on the site.
Right on. So when's the app coming?
That's a great question. So we need to get some features right first and foremost. We want it to perform a little more like a traditional social media site. And that includes being able to embed your own videos. So just some basic things that we need to get right. Once we get that, it's going to be all about app development. And our developer is very confident that once we go that route, he could get it out pretty quickly. So I would say within the next few months. I can't give you an exact time yet, but we're working toward that goal because we want people to be able to easily access it. Like I said, we want people to engage in the community, and one way to make that easier is the accessibility. So just pressing on an app gets you on the site, and then you could go from there.
Right on. Well, thank you, Tyler. Really looking forward to the app. Love what I see so far. I'll start recommending it to anybody that I think will get something out of it, which is most people that I play pickleball with, and obviously and some other influencers as well. Pickleballers.io, and look for the app later on in 2023. So thanks for your time. Any last minute shout outs you want to give, props to, or anything like that, or remind folks where to go to? Now would be the time, Tyler.
All right. Well, first and foremost, just thank you to the community that's already come on to pickleballers.io. I think we have some very cool features coming out soon, but I would also love to hear from you. So feel free to reach my Instagram, and we'll do the Pickleballers Instagram at pickleballers.io Insta, and Twitter, we're pickleballers23. So we're pretty active in those communities. So feel free to let us know any sorts of feedback you have there. Then you could always DM those accounts to get access to the website. Right now, we're still in beta, so you have to be invited to the site. But if you're a passionate pickleball fan, we definitely want you on the site. Test it out. Let us know what you think. Give us some feedback. And then all those. Thank you to you. Thanks for having me, bringing me on the podcast. This has been a good conversation, and I think we're both passionate about pickleball, which is great.
Yeah, and I appreciate your time. All the links that Tyler mentioned will be in the description. And again, thanks for your time. Looking forward to see where this goes. And great interview, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Sleeves, you the man.
Hope you enjoyed the interview with Tyler. Remember, subscribe to our newsletter. Daily information for the most part. Once in a while, there's a day that's a little slow in pickleball, but barely ever. So subscribe to our newsletter, and hey, let's pickle.
Hey, if you're looking for very, very comfortable court shoes, in fact, the most comfortable court shoes I've ever worn, and I've worn a lot of them over the years playing different sports, try Fitville. We have a link in the description that gets you $20 off your purchase.